midsection. He is diffuse in the hairline area. His crown and midsection are pretty much gone. There's barely shave shows the extent of his recovery, and he's doing a very, very good job. Luckily, he got on treatment, because if he didn't, he would be maybe. But if we just focus over here in the midsection, you can see that clearly he's made quite the recovery. A lot of terminal hairs and, quite a bit of... Hey guys, before we continue this video, I would like to mention that we now have liposomal minoxidil sulfate on my website, folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com, and if the order queue is available and open, you can order it there. We're running it as a cosmetic. There are other sort of botanicals inside of this particular topical that are pretty helpful when it comes to conditioning the hair. So that's at folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com. That's FOLLIGENZ.com. Go check it out and maybe even try it out. See you there. Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another hair loss or hair progress review video. And we're of course back on the tressless hair loss subreddit, the largest form in the world. And today we're looking at this particular user, this guy by the name of Randy James Fuller. And I guess he's going to have a fuller amount of hair by the time we're done with this video. In any case, the title of his post is, quote, "A long journey, but it's working. I had hardly any hair left," unquote. Now let's read his description. He says, quote, "Finasteride 5 mg once a day since July 2023 and minoxidil since June 2023. Did a select of styles and lengths to show the difference of each," unquote. So that was his stack. Although he didn't specify if he was using oral minoxidil, and even whether topical or oral, we don't know what milligrams or what concentration he used it at. But I figure it's probably 5% or 5 mg oral minoxidil. Now, I've said this in other videos, but finasteride past 1 mg, so 5 mg isn't going to give you any additional benefits to your hair growth. It's not going to suppress more serum or scalp DHT. 1 mg is pretty much the same as 5 mg, and realistically, you could do 0.5 mg daily of finasteride, and you still wouldn't have that much of a significant difference in terms of your scalp regrowth. So let's have a look. So this is his baseline, and we can see he is very diffuse in the midsection. He is diffuse in the hairline area. His crown and midsection are pretty much gone. There's barely any hair here. If I were to zoom in, though, you can see that there are some vellus hairs. Like, if you look really closely, his midsection is scattered with vellus hairs. We can clearly see the opening of some follicles here and there. And some areas have a bit more vellus density than others. But then there are some areas, like over here where my cursor is, where you pretty much see nothing, right? So overall, he has a lot of hair loss. He's looking like he's going to go towards that North 6 direction. He barely has a hairline. And this guy was clearly dealing with a lot. So let's go on to the second picture. So this was before treatment, I'm assuming. Now he's on treatment over here. This is another angle, different lighting condition. And maybe he's let his hair grow out a bit, but still you can see the midsection over here and the crown are very, very diffuse, lots of vellus hairs, and yeah, clearly he is suffering with androgenetic alopecia. And finally over here, looks like he's made some tremendous amount of progress, right? This isn't just him growing out his hair a bit, but we can see the midsection. Some of the vellus hairs have turned into intermediate hairs, and there has been some increase in coverage and density in the midsection, such that it looks like it's recovering. So he's responding well to treatment. The existing hair has become more dense, has a lot of vitality to it, and still the problem area persists, the crown and a bit of the midsection. But you can clearly see, let's go back to the second photo, in the camera roll, right, compared to this third picture over here, we can clearly see where he came from and where he is in the third photo. He's made a lot of progress. Okay, so it looks like he shaved his scalp. He shaved his hair, rather, and we can see that this is a bit of a reset, but it's very much needed because some people like to be nitpicky. They will claim you're not making any progress, you've just grown out your hair, so this is very well, this is very much welcomed. And if we compare this picture over here, right, to his baseline, so over here, right, you can clearly see that he has made some progress. From this picture, the first picture, to the fourth picture, right, he's made some progress. And that progress is that there are more hairs in general that are intermediate in the midsection and the crown, and the hairline has pretty much recovered quite a bit compared to the baseline photo where he barely had any vellus hairs in some areas, and he barely had any intermediate hairs in his crown and midsection. So this shave shows the extent of his recovery, and he's doing a very, very good job. Luckily, he got on treatment, because if he didn't, he would be, maybe at the time of this photo over here, he'd be at like a Norwood 7 or 6. So good on him for, doing that intervention. Let's go on to the fifth photo in the camera roll. Once again, we get a good sort of indication on what is working here in his hair loss. So if we take this photo, he had a similar picture before. Let me get the comparison. Okay, so this picture over here was from earlier in the photo camera roll compared to this picture over here. So this is later. And you can clearly see he's making progress. That midsection is gradually shrinking. He has gained a lot of intermediate hairs, even some terminal hairs, right, if we look closely. And the crown is pretty much getting a good amount of coverage. So the treatment is clearly working. The finasteride and minoxidil are doing their job, and I'm sure this guy's happy. Let's go on to the next photo. And again, another angle over here. And this angle is fantastic. We can see that really his crown is the only issue. His crown seems to be a little bit sparse, but the midsection has come back quite a bit. So obviously the recovery is ensuing. And finally, the last picture in the camera roll. I mean, this isn't the exact angle I would have liked to see, but if we just focus over here in the midsection, we can see that clearly he's made quite the recovery. A lot of terminal hairs and, quite a bit of intermediate hairs, barely any vellus hairs, at least from what we can see from this angle. His hairline has made the recovery, and yeah, this guy has been consistent with treatment, and overall, he has made a lot of gains. So comparing that to his baseline, right, over here, it's pretty much day and night. I say day and night all the time, but that's what we want to do. We want to make that major sort of progress. We want to improve the appearance of our hair and have fuller looking hair. And if it's fuller looking hair that you're looking for, then I started a company over here called Folligens Therapeutics. That's FOLLIGENZ.com. And we're actually selling liposomal minoxidil sulfate globally. Yes, globally. This is liposomal minoxidil sulfate, and not many companies have been able to do this. We're pretty much the first company to do this globally. And as you can see, we have a 10% concentration and a 5% concentration. There tends to be this sort of dose-dependent nature to minoxidil in general. So you might have fuller-looking hair on 5% and even more fuller-looking hair on 10%. And even at that, there was a study by Dr. Ralph Chureb that showed the use of 5% minoxidil sulfate turning non-responders to minoxidil into responders. So you can get that fuller-looking hair with, trying this out. So right now we have 235 in stock out of 300 for the 10%. And I think we have quite the bit of the 5% over here. We have 284 out of 300 in stock for the 5%. So guys, go check that out. Link in the description below. so you guys can possibly try this version of topical minoxidil. A selling point for this is that there's no propylene glycol and no drying alcohols whatsoever. And we do use botanical serums from plants, but we filtered it, so there shouldn't be that much, or if any, scalp agitation. This is a good leave-in conditioner. It dries pretty quickly upon you putting it on, and you just have to make sure you shake the bottle before use. So that's pretty much it for the ad plugging section of this video. I know I came in out of nowhere. I might have scared you guys with it. But going back to our subject at hand over here. So yeah, he made the recovery, clearly. And I don't want to say that he's a hyper responder by any means. He's probably not a hyper responder. It's more or less the case that he just gave the treatment time, right? He's saying July 2023, and then he implemented minoxidil later in June 2023. And he posted this post is from a year ago, so this is from July 2023 all the way up to October 19th, 2024. So he, about a year of recovery, right? This is a year journey for him. And it stands to reason that maybe he might get more improvement over time as he continues to use the treatment. And we've seen this in many studies before. So guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you like what you see, please comment below. Golden star, that is if you got here, right? And if you like to see more videos like this, certainly subscribe. And please, by all means, try Sulfogem's liposomal minoxidil sulfate at either 5% or 10% concentration. Maybe just start out with the 5%, because, I mean, we have a lot. I kind of want to sell them all out. But yeah, in any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.